I caught my fiancé whispering another woman's name in his sleep on the night we moved in together. It wasn't just any name. It was the name of his late wife. The one everyone still tiptoes around. The one I never stood a chance against. At first, I tried to laugh it off. Grief, right? Ghosts don't die overnight. But then I found the drawer. Tucked in the back of his closet. Full of her things, her perfume, her letters, her wedding ring. Not just memories. Love notes. And right on top was a photo. Framed. Hidden. Her face pressed against his like it was still their world. I tried not to feel replaced. I tried to be patient. Supportive. Understanding. But you can only be someone's consolation prize for so long before you break. And trust me. I broke. And when I did, I took everything down with me. Because there's a fine line between a love triangle and a ghost story. And I stopped caring who got haunted. Before I tell you what happened next, make sure you're watching this alone, because some love stories aren't tragic, they're terrifyingly real. When I first met Theo, I didn't know what loss looked like. Not really. Sure, I'd been through breakups. Had my heart broken by college flings and high school dreams. But grief? Grief leaves fingerprints you can't see until you're the one being touched by it. And Theo? He wore grief like a second skin. We met at a coffee shop near campus. I spilled my drink, he offered napkins. Classic rom-com meet cute. What I didn't know was that napkin had her name on it, Anna, written in his looping, careful handwriting. Notes from a letter he'd been drafting. To her. A year after her death. But I didn't know that then. I just saw a man who looked gentle and tired, with these soft green eyes that made you feel like he really listened. It wasn't until date 3 that he mentioned her. Not in a dramatic way. Just. Anna used to love this place. I smiled, nodding, not asking questions I desperately wanted answers to. I told myself, I'm not here to replace anyone. I'm just here to love him. But that's a lie women tell ourselves when we want to feel like the exception. Because love like theirs doesn't just disappear. It lingers. In rooms. In glances. In half-finished stories. We moved in together after 10 months. Everyone said it was fast. But I thought grief just made people crave closeness, right? I wanted to be the warmth that pulled him out of the cold. But the cold wasn't gone. It was just hidden. The first night in our new apartment, we were unpacking boxes when I found it. A shoebox wrapped in duct tape, stuffed behind some winter coats. I asked about it, half laughing. He froze. That's just memories, he said. Nothing important. I didn't push. Not then. But that night, that same night, he turned over in his sleep and whispered. Anna, don't go yet. I sat up in bed. My stomach twisted. He didn't wake up. He just turned over and went still. I didn't sleep at all. The next morning, I made pancakes and pretended nothing happened. Because what else do you do when the man you love is dreaming about someone else? Especially someone who's dead. But I started noticing more. A playlist on his phone titled For Her. A journal tucked between the couch cushions. A letter, half-written, dated just 2 weeks ago, signed, Always Yours, T. I read it. I shouldn't have, but I did. It wasn't a goodbye. It was a love letter. Present tense. Still hers. That's when the resentment started. Quiet. Slow. Like mold growing in the dark. I started dressing like her. I saw her photos on his Facebook, soft makeup, floral dresses, messy buns. I copied it. I dyed my hair darker. I even bought the same perfume after finding a nearly empty bottle buried in that taped box. Pathetic? Maybe. But love makes us do strange things when we feel second best. Theo didn't notice. Or if he did, he didn't say anything. Maybe he liked it. Maybe it comforted him, having some version of her back. One night, we went to dinner with his parents. It was supposed to be casual. His mother poured wine, laughed at my jokes. And then, out of nowhere, she said, "You remind me of Anna." It's uncanny. I smiled. Nodded. Bit the inside of my cheek so hard it bled. I wasn't a person to them. I was an echo. And the worst part? I let it happen. Because I thought if I was enough of her, maybe I'd finally be enough for him. It all boiled over the night I found the scrapbook. Buried under blankets in a chest at the foot of our bed. Every page filled with Anna. Photos, ticket stubs, petals from their wedding bouquet. A dried-out mascara-stained napkin labeled the night we found out we were pregnant. I didn't know they'd had a baby. I didn't know she'd miscarried. I didn't know anything. But there it was. Every secret. Every scar. Pasted into pages like it was still sacred. I slammed the scrapbook shut and screamed. He ran in, panicked. "What the hell is this?" I asked. His face was pale. He reached for the book like it was something alive. "Don't touch it," I snapped. "Don't you dare." He looked at me like I was a stranger. "I asked you one thing," I said. "To be honest. And you've been sleeping next to me, loving her the whole time." "She's not here anymore," he said quietly. "But she is," I whispered. "She never left. And maybe you never let her." He didn't answer. Because there wasn't anything left to say. I wish I could tell you that after that night, things got better. That he held me, apologized, promised to move forward. But instead, we just stopped talking. Not in a loud, door-slamming way. In the kind of way where your toothbrushes are still touching in the cup, but your hearts are on opposite sides of the bed. I didn't move out. He didn't ask me to. We just became roommates. Roommates who'd once made love and whispered dreams, and now barely made eye contact while making coffee. And every day I'd look at that damn scrapbook. He tried to hide it again, sliding it back into the chest like I wouldn't notice. But I did. And the worst part? A sick part of me opened it every morning, like checking an injury to see if it still hurts. It always did. Especially the page with the pregnancy test. A faint pink plus sign, next to a note she'd written in swirly cursive, "We're going to be parents. I love you forever." I was trying to compete with a ghost who had already given him everything. And I had nothing to offer but my bitterness. That's when I started seeing Alex again. No, not seeing him. But he started showing up. First in my DMs. Then liking old photos. Then messaging me after I posted a story from the farmer's market. Alex was my ex from 3 years ago. The almost relationship. The kind where the timing was wrong but the chemistry never quite died. He always knew how to flirt without trying too hard. So when he replied to my story with "still as stunning as ever," I didn't delete it. I replied, still pretending to be smooth? He sent a winky face. And I let it happen. Because unlike Theo, Alex saw me. It started small. Late-night texts. Private jokes. A secret between us that tasted like rebellion. I wasn't cheating, not technically. But emotionally? Oh, I was ripping down the walls. One night, I fell asleep on the couch. Phone in my hand, half-written text to Alex glowing on the screen. Theo woke me up. His voice was quiet. Your phone buzzed. I blinked at him. Thanks. He didn't ask. Just walked back to the bedroom. But later that night, I felt him crawl into bed behind me, closer than he'd been in weeks. His hand brushed my waist, slow and hesitant. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. And then he whispered, barely audible, I miss you. And for a second, I almost broke. But I didn't say it back. Because I wasn't sure which version of me he missed, me, or the shadow of the woman he lost. The next morning, I told Alex we should stop texting. He replied, why? Because he finally noticed you? I didn't answer. Because yes. That's exactly why. Theo started trying after that. Making breakfast. Leaving little notes on the fridge. One of them said, still choosing you. Even on the hard days. I cried in the shower after reading that one. But every gesture he made felt like it was coming from a place of guilt, not love. Until the drawer. It was a week later. He asked me to grab his laptop charger from the hallway dresser. When I opened the drawer, something fell out. A photo. Of me. Taken when I didn't know he was watching. I was curled up on the couch, laughing at something on my phone. The light caught my face just right. It was candid. Real. Unfiltered. And behind the photo? A printed email. From his therapist. Subject line, moving forward after loss, learning to let go. The body of the email had one line highlighted in yellow. Loving again doesn't mean forgetting. It means creating space for new memories to coexist beside the old ones. That was the first time I saw hope. Maybe I wasn't just a replacement. Maybe I was the start of something new. So I did something bold. I planned a weekend away. A cabin in the mountains. No phones. Just us. I told him, I booked it for your birthday. We need this. He smiled, actually smiled, and said, okay. Let's try. I packed everything. Food. Wine. Books. The scrapbook. Yep. I took it with us. Because if we were really going to try again, we had to face the thing standing between us. And that weekend? It started out perfect. We cooked. We laughed. We held each other again like it mattered. But then came the fire pit. The wine. The scrapbook on the table. And the question I couldn't hold in any longer. Did you ever think, maybe she was your real love story, and I'm just the sequel no one asked for? His face changed. He reached for my hand. You're not the sequel, he said. You're the second chance I didn't know I deserved. My eyes filled. My chest ached. Then why does it still feel like she's here? He looked at the fire. Because she is. And maybe she always will be. But that doesn't mean there's no room for you. I nodded, barely holding it together. Then I whispered the thing I'd been too scared to say. I read the letter. The one you wrote her. He didn't even flinch. I figured you did. You said always yours. Present tense. I was saying goodbye. Were you? His eyes met mine. Honest. Raw. I was trying to be. Until I realized I didn't have to choose between grieving her and loving you. I just had to stop punishing myself for both. For the first time, I believed him. We made love that night. Not like strangers. Not like people trying to forget. Like people trying to remember why they stayed. We got home from the cabin Sunday night. I expected things to feel lighter. Like we'd burned the past in that fireplace and returned with clean hearts and second chances. But healing doesn't follow a weekend itinerary. It sneaks up on you, or doesn't come at all. Theo was different afterward. Not colder, just quieter. Like something was still unfinished inside him. And maybe inside me, too. We didn't talk about Anna anymore. Not directly. Her name hung in the air like steam after a hot shower. Invisible but everywhere. Until she showed up. Not literally. But it might as well have been. It was her sister. Sophie. She texted Theo out of nowhere, asking if she could drop off something she'd found while cleaning out their parents' attic. I didn't even know they still spoke. Theo said it was no big deal. Just some of Anna's old journals and a sweater she used to wear. Stuff Sophie thought he might want. He said it like someone offering you a seat at a table you never asked to sit at. She came over the next night. Beautiful in that effortless way women like me always resent. We made polite small talk, but her eyes kept darting to the photos on our walls, like she was taking inventory of everything that used to be hers. Before she left, she hugged Theo a second too long. Then she looked at me. And said, "I'm glad he's smiling again. Even if it's different." I didn't know what that meant. But it shattered me. After she left, I found Theo in the kitchen holding one of the journals. He wasn't reading it. Just holding it. I didn't say anything. I just turned around, went into our bedroom, and cried so quietly the pillow soaked the sound. Later that night, he came in. I pretended to be asleep. He climbed into bed behind me, wrapped an arm around my waist. "I'm still here," he whispered. I didn't respond. Because what does that even mean? Still here could mean I love you, or I'm not ready to be alone, or I haven't figured out how to leave yet. The next morning, I texted Alex. "Hey. Are you free this weekend?" I didn't even know what I wanted. Just something that wasn't this. He replied instantly, "For you? Always." And that was all it took. We met at a hotel on the edge of town. I told myself it was just coffee. Just closure. Just curiosity. But the moment he opened the door, I stepped into the room like I was stepping out of my own skin. It was reckless. It was wrong. It was everything I told myself I didn't need anymore. And yet, I didn't stop. Afterward, I stared at the ceiling and tried to feel something. Relief. Shame. Satisfaction. Anything. But all I felt was this hollow ache. Like I'd dug a hole inside myself trying to bury someone who never died. When I got home, Theo was in the living room. Reading one of Anna's journals. He didn't look up. And for the first time, I wondered if he knew. Knew where I'd been. What I'd done. But he didn't ask. And I didn't tell. The silence between us was now thick enough to drown in. That weekend, we went to his niece's birthday party. I wore a floral dress. He held my hand. We looked like the perfect couple. Until I overheard his sister whisper, "She's no Anna." I don't know if I was more angry at her for saying it, or at Theo for not disagreeing. When we got home, I poured wine. Too much. The kind that makes your honesty spill out faster than your filter. "You ever wish it was still her?" I asked. Theo didn't answer. So I pushed harder. "Do you ever look at me and resent that I'm not her?" Still nothing. I stood up, my voice shaking. "You know what? I slept with Alex." That got his attention. He blinked. Once. Twice. Then just said, "Okay." okay?" I laughed, bitter. "That's all you've got?" He looked at me like I was already gone. I'm not surprised. That hit harder than if he'd yelled. I was ready for anger. For a fight. Something. But his calm? That was worse. "I didn't do it to hurt you," I said, lying through my teeth. He nodded. "But you did it anyway." I waited for him to ask me to leave. To throw something. To tell me it was over. But he just stood up, walked to the bedroom, and shut the door behind him. Not slammed. Just shut. Final. A week later, I came home from work and the apartment was half empty. His keys were on the counter. No note. No goodbye. Just a single photo left on the fridge. Me. Laughing on the couch. The same photo I'd found in the drawer. Except this time, he'd written something on the back. "You were never the sequel." But I couldn't keep living in a story that refused to end. That was it. No love, Theo. No we'll talk. Just a period. A full stop. I never saw him again. He moved to Portland. Started a new job. And a few months later, Sophie posted a photo on Instagram. Theo, holding a baby. Not his. But someone else's. A woman beside him, a soft smile, kind eyes. The caption said, "Welcome to the family." So yeah. He moved on. He finally let go of the ghost, right after I became one. I still think about him when I see couples holding hands. When I catch that floral perfume in a department store. When I hear the name Anna. Sometimes I wonder if she ever hated me from wherever she is. For trying to step into a life that still belonged to her. But mostly, I wonder if I'll ever be enough for someone who doesn't need to forget someone else first. Or if I'll always be the girl who learned too late that loving someone haunted doesn't make you brave, it makes you haunted, too.